Okay, we're live. Because again, if you're not having to say, "Oh, okay, good, we're live," or something to that extent, or whatever, you're not being a content creator correctly. What up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Marie Shadows. Happy Sunday. It's already April 12th, guys. It's already April 12th. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I did say on Twitter that I would be taking a break from content creation, but when you say to take a break, that means no days off for wrestling content creation. So basically, this is what we're going to be doing for this live. I am going to be talking about various wrestling topics, letting you know what I was doing on my little mini vacation before deciding to make some wrestling content about what's happening online. And we're going to go over some hot topics, very hot topics. And I want to say I appreciate everyone's support about the recent. We're gonna skip ahead for a tiny bit. The recent tweet that I put up, asking The Rock, to be like, "Hey, please save New Japan Pro Wrestling." We'll get in that. We'll get into that in a little bit. But for some housekeeping notes, just know that youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast is basically the place you need to be, because now we are in the YouTube Partner Program, where we have memberships that are live. We have two tiers. We have one tier that is $1.99. I could not make it $1 like I wanted to, so $1.99 it is, and that is for the OG lock-in tier. So that is for the support for people that have been supporting me for the past 6 years. And then also tier number 2 is the $9.99 one, which is $10 a month basically, and that is the Tape Study Plus, where it's like a VIP access. You get everything and you get more. Currently, right now, there are some videos behind the paywall, which is basically me reacting to Stephanie's Places. Legends of Future Greats are going to be happening soon. Everything just takes a little bit of time, so thank you for having patience with me. But memberships are now live on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. And then whenever I go live on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast, I do have super chats enabled, and now I have shopping. That means that my fourth wall account, which is my website that tells you everything about who I am and what I do in the business, and everything that I try to help out behind the scenes and stuff like that, it also has merchandise and memberships available over there too, just in case if you want to grab a membership on the Fourth Wall site. There are videos up there too, exclusive as well, but merchandise is where it's at. If you want to buy a sticker, buttons, mugs, hats, whatever it is, anything helps. The Square Circle Podcast, anything helps out me, Marie Shadows, and I am very, very appreciative of it all. Aside from that, if you are right here on marieshadows.substack.com, we also have a paywall enabled too if you want to subscribe monthly for $8 or yearly for like $75 and stuff like that. That's available as well. When this live goes, edited and then live again, I guess, on when I put it up as a newsletter, I will be including the tweets of us talking about The Rock having an NJPW shirt on. All those tweets will be in the newsletter. This is why it is important for you to sign up for free, because I'm not really charging money for fake news behind a paywall for a wrestling newsletter. But you can sign up for free to even watch the playback of this live for free with the extra content. Even though some people will be like, "Oh, you should put that behind a paywall." Well, I mean, there's other things that take a little bit more time and effort to put behind a paywall other than that. So yeah, those three are the places to go to support myself and the Square Circle Podcast. Any means necessary, even you being here and watching and just listening to me talk about wrestling and my little mini vacation time. Before I'm like, "Hey, let's talk about wrestling," because wrestling fans will forever be wrestling fans. So I believe on Thursday I had tweeted out about, hey, like Thursday into Friday, I was like, hey, I'm going to take a little break from content creation because I have put up a lot of videos and YouTube shorts up on, youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. And I decided to take a little mini break because I know there'll be videos coming out, and those videos are for you to watch. So that way you could eventually watch the full entire video for me reacting to and giving commentary to Stephanie's Places, which is behind the paywall, like I had mentioned. And so I had rediscovered Nickelback. That is going to be an amazing conversation. I know somebody is probably going to leave a comment on that, which is going to be very fun to read. I was a huge Nickelback fan in the past, and then like realized that some of their songs sounded the same, and like I guess I took a break for Nickelback, and then they popped up again, and I saw the documentary of Hate to Love Nickelback, and I was expecting more from the documentary. Uh, the documentary is like an hour and like 20 minutes, but it was still good enough to be like, okay, cool. You know, they're back on the scene. This is what happened. And all this kind of stuff, and even stuff I didn't know about, like how the band got formed. And just recently, I learned how they got their name. So I was like, oh, that's interesting and lame at the same time of how they got their name, of how they got Nickelback. Just because Mike, the brother to Chad, worked at Starbucks and had to give back 5 cents to everybody, and I'm like, that is a lame story, but that is at the same time what makes Nickelback Nickelback. And it fits and it stayed, and recently finding out that last year they got put into the Canadian Hall of Fame, which they deserve. And I went on Spotify to listen to like all the music except for like the first two albums they ever came out with, because the first two albums are really different from when they did Silver Side Up for the hit single "How You Remind Me," which everybody knows about. And it's kind of weird that I'm talking about Nickelback, but I really don't give a shit right now. My brain is like, why are we talking about Nickelback? It feels like one of those moments where like you keep it to yourself, the same way that many of us kept us being wrestling fans to ourselves. But in this case, fuck it. You either want to listen, or you're gonna skip ahead when this during the replay. But either way, so I went on Spotify to see like what I missed from Nickelback, and I didn't realize that we are up to 10 albums of Nickelback, and I was like, what the fuck, 10 albums? Anyway, 10 really well. Okay, so 8 good albums, I should say. Uh, eight, 7.5 good albums. We'll do 7.5 good albums because Feed the Machine is an okay album. It's an okay. Um, the other ones are okay. I mean, like there's still like some really good classic hits that they have decided to make on like each of these albums that I can continue to sing along. There's a lot more handful of songs on these albums I can sing along to. Also, TikTok has been very favorable. I could talk. It's a Sunday. Uh, Very in favorite of Nickelback, especially their song. I believe it's "She Makes Me Nervous" off of their No Fixed Address album, because that song is one of my favorite songs, and that's a funky song. I really don't listen to much like funk music, 70s music, disco style music, but like when it's done right, it's done right. It really is. It's done right. So that's like one of my favorite songs. So like if we ever had a conversation about like ranking Nickelback songs, number one would definitely be like "How You Remind Me," and then like number two would be "She Makes Me Nervous." Like that should definitely be the name of the song. Um, so I have been on I guess a Nickelback kick for my little mini vacation before the internet blew up about The Rock wearing a New Japan shirt, looking at a Rubik's Cube. And that was posted the same day that we have a New Japan Strong pay-per-view. What is this? Aside from getting rediscovered and falling back in love with listening to Nickelback songs, I was also doing some writing for my cyberpunk sci-fi novel. If you guys follow me on Twitter at Marie_Shadows, that basically I have gotten back into the swing of things of writing because I need to for myself as a passion project. I keep saying that there are certain projects that I want to put out into the world other than my wrestling planners. And that is also having novels and novellas attached to my name of Marie Shadows. And because I have to flex this creative writing degree with a publishing certificate somehow. So I do want to finish up writing a cyberpunk sci-fi novel, and then also a wrestling novel as well. Obviously, a fictional wrestling novel. So basically, that's what I want to do. Um, so that's in the works. So listening to like Nickelback is helping with that. Listening to like any of the songs on the playlist is helping with that because as a writer we sort of need some type of inspiration and whatnot, some kind of guidance. So that's that. But then the whole New Japan stuff. Uh, But shout out to Nickelback, I guess. Okay, so now into the other headlines of the wrestling world. I did want to comment on Big E's comments um, towards the comedian that will be at WrestleMania. Uh, Tom, I am going to mess up his name because I am not used to saying his name because I'm used to hearing it like uh, it's it's spelled Hinchcliffe or Cleef, but I always think it's like with an E, like Hinchcliffe or something like that. And I hope that if he sees this, like, he doesn't really roast me. But um he had mentioned on commentary about Biggie's like neck, right? Listen, I like comedy. Comedy when it's done right. It was just a stupid little comment. It wasn't even that big of a deal. Not to the extent of people having to be like, "Oh my God, Biggie, don't do that to Biggie. Don't say that to Biggie." What is fact? The fact is that Big E did suffer a broken neck with fractures to his C1 and C6 vertebrae in 2022, and he has not wrestled since. But he has been getting better. They've been helping him. He's been taking whatever he needs to take in order to get like a stronger neck and stuff like that. So it happened to him. The same way that if like somebody fell off a bike and like got scratched up on their knee, like that happened to them. Like you can make fun of it in a way. And people might not like sit well with me by saying that you can make fun of it, but like jokes happen all the time. Like people act like they can't joke about anything. They can't joke about dark humor. And the moment they hear something, it's barely dark humor for the comedian to tell Michael Cole that the only thing stiffer than Michael Cole is Biggie's neck. Like that is child's play compared to what I hear and compared to what people say. And on the internet they make it seem as if like everybody's an angel and that nobody has skeletons in their closet, especially the ones that are always like, "Oh my god, you can't say that. Oh my god, like that's not, appropriate. You can't do this, you can't do that." Like we're all human beings. We all have individual thought. We all have individual personalities. So yeah, we can definitely like joke about some stuff. Can some stuff be taken like really really out of line? Yeah, sure, that could always happen. But was this out of line? No, not really. It was just like, oh, haha, a little stupid joke. Okay, cool, move on. It's not that big of a deal. But to read Big E's comments about it's really like to ask the question, has Big E given up? Because it was so neutral, maybe even company line, and felt like, he didn't want to start no trouble and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, sometimes when a comedian or even your friends like clap back at you, the natural instinct is to clap back at them. Even if like, since the comedian and Biggie are obviously like not friends. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But naturally you want to be like, oh, you think you're funny, and then you come out with, your own clapback. But I just wanted to break this down because it just really sounded as if like he gave up. As if it's like, very trying to be neutral, giving up and being like, "Oh, it's not my call, I don't know. He just said it. Like, I don't know." So, let's go through this, let's break it down. And the only reason why I want to break it down is because I thought that it was really like, what are we doing here, Biggie? Like, what are we doing here? Um so Biggie starts off with his comment saying, end quote, "I guess at my big age of 39 years old, people will say what they want about you." First of all, no one really like talked about his age when that joke came about, and I think the second joke that Hinchcliffe did was not like about his age. It had nothing to do about his age. Why are you trying to get sympathy because you're 39 years old? Like it was a stupid joke that should have just brushed off if you didn't want to like clap back. Biggie continues in his quote, "It has nothing to do with me. It's not my business." It kind of is your business because he's making fun of something factual that you could have been like, bro, don't go there, or else this is my clap back, or something like that. Or turn into a wrestler and be like, oh, the next time I see you, you're gonna be wearing a neck brace. Like, play along with it. Biggie goes on to say, look, say what you want. He was given a mic, he was given an opportunity. People will feel how they want to. What? uh, of course he was given a mic because he has to also promote the fact that he'll be at WrestleMania doing a roasting session uh, by way of Netflix. And he was given the opportunity to be on commentary. He never been on commentary, but what does he know best? He knows about making jokes, whether you find them hilarious or not. If you don't find them hilarious, then he's not your comedian. But then again, most things, most things comedians can't do is tell jokes nowadays because someone's gonna be like, "That's offensive." Like, no, it's not. It's not really offensive. Um, it's really not. It's a joke. Sometimes you say jokes to make light of things because that's how sometimes people deal with certain things, or you just make a joke to be funny and it's supposed to be like laughable and whatnot. But everyone has their own little idea of like what it means to be a comedian and like what it means to be funny. And if it's not your kind of funniness, then like find a comedian that is your type of funny, and or maybe like become your own comedian and see what happens. Um, I like to laugh. I do. I like to laugh. I like to also hear some really dark jokes and be like, bro, that's fucked up, and like probably laugh. Because that's just how it is. A joke is a joke. Um, because most of the time it's true. You joke about things that are true, and you joke about things to bring light to that and have people think. But if all you're gonna do is coddle people and coddle yourself and be like, oh my god, you can't say this, you can't say that, you're gonna be very, very, very limited in the scope of how you think about things in the world and how you use critical thinking in order to combat certain types of things. Like, you can't keep living in a world in your mind of like, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, therefore I cannot like it no more because somebody who's not even related to you or in ties in some way, but somebody on the internet was like, that's bad, you shouldn't do this or that. Don't follow those people. Don't get influenced by those people. Stand your ground and your beliefs and your convictions. Yes, you should have an open mind. You should have an open perspective to listen to people and just take bits and pieces and like little golden nuggets, but not be like, oh my God, I have to completely change my whole life because this one person that I don't know on the internet is telling me that I should, when most of the time they are not even following their own advice. That's just Marie Shadow advice right there. Biggie goes on to say in this quote, the WWE fan favorite, went on to admit he was tired of having to weigh in on people talking about him, but suggested that navigating those kinds of comments comes with being a public, being in the public eye, which is true. Which is true that you definitely have to, navigate these things and whatnot. But it wasn't that big of a deal for him to be like he's tired of having to weigh in on stuff. Like, why are you tired all of a sudden of that? Like, he could just be like, he could just turn on the wrestler in him and tell Hinchcliffe, yo, the next time that I see you, you'll have something or whatever. Like, I just don't, I just don't get it. Because, not everybody is talking about Big E or giving him grief or being like, this or that. I mean, you have the New Day still going on and on about it, and they're becoming heels and shit. But yeah. Um, so here's more of the quote. I am reading this off of a off of an article. Um, so here's more of the quote. Whether they're jokes, whether they're not, and it's their and that is their right. Um, what? I get I'm on here. It was said on the show I'm supposed to talk, especially when things are mentioned about me. I should have an opinion about them. You don't necessarily have to have an opinion about everything. Even if you're on the talk show, to be like, oh, well, let's go and review Raw right away, or let's talk to this person or whatnot. You could just be like, oh, I didn't hear a joke. He could just brush it off like that. Like, I didn't hear the joke. I don't know what you're talking about. Um, oh, here's more of the quote down the bottom. But like, if he didn't want to talk about it, it'd be like, oh, I don't know what he was talking about. Yeah, or Biggie could have been like, yeah, I broke my neck. Well, um, something to the effect. Like lean into it a little bit. It's not like he was going after him on a like really big personal level. It was just doing the analogy of like how long have we known Michael Cole to maybe be stiff with air quotation marks, for all the years that we see Michael Cole. So like the joke was there. The joke was there because comedians don't follow like a strict uh code, but a code is kind of not the word I'm looking for, but they're not following like a strict guideline for when they do their comedy. They have free range. So that's why I can't believe I have to break this joke down. Commentators in WWE back in the day, and probably not even like, currently in WWE, we always hear the stories of like Vince feeding people lines and Vince telling people what to say on the commentary through the headset and stuff like that. So therefore, by Tom over here saying that like the only thing stiffer than Michael Cole, meaning that like he has to be stiff and brought to the guidelines and regulations of how to call the commentary matches. Comparing that to Big E when Big E had to be in the neck brace before they can take it off and he was healing properly. It makes sense. It's the analogy. So it's not even that big of a deal. It's a tiny little joke. Anyway, Biggie goes on to say, here's the thing, the quote about the tiring part. Um, it's just it is tiring to have to weigh in on everyone's opinion or whatever they say. Look, I'm not hurt, I'm good. That is more towards the fans because the fans always want somebody to say something and you don't really have to do that. But he doesn't really have to say that he's tired of that. He'll be like a better way to have said it was thank you to everyone online that has weighed in on this situation. I get it. I'm not hurt. I'm good. Simple. Biggie goes on to say, I want the discourse to be had without me, honestly. I really have no desire to weigh in on this. I didn't sign up for this. I wasn't aware of this. No one is aware of anything that is said on commentary. No one signs up to whatever commentary says and whatever jokes are thrown out there. That's just life. Life goes on, life moves. Like life is not going to sign you up to be like, hey, in the next, I don't know, 5 minutes there's going to be a joke about you, I need you to sign this contract. They're not going to do that. So sometimes this feels more like a defeat. This feels more like a giving up. He doesn't have to be online 24/7. Obviously, I don't think he is. But if people just send him stuff about like the discourse or whatnot, he doesn't have to pay attention to it. Like he could just go and like live his life, and let fans weigh in on the discourse without him being there. Like he's not really there. Fans are just passionate. And sometimes fans want to coddle and protect people just a little too much that it feels like it's smothering, and it's like, let them be on their own 2 feet, they'll be fine. But this sounds like giving up. Like, I didn't sign up for this, I wasn't aware of this. um and it's like nobody ever is, dude. Nobody ever is. He goes on to say, he did what he wanted to. People signed off on it. It has nothing to do with me, truly. That one kind of puzzled me, only because, like, what do you mean people signed off on it? Nobody knows what a comedian is gonna say, and like, no one is gonna give him a script to be like, oh, I need you to say this line because this line is gonna be really, really good. No one's doing that. Everything that I heard from Hinchcliffe here on commentary that time on Monday Night Raw was everything that he normally does as an improv. Like, people, like, who signed off on this? No one really didn't do that. Um, and then say it has nothing to do with me, truly, as if like to push away, as if like, oh, he really, he could talk about me, but I'm not gonna say anything, like to push the guy away or to push the situation away because fans, probably got a little bit out of hand with defending Biggie and stuff. In this article, it says while Biggie took the high road, he didn't take the high road. There's no taking high road here. It's more about downplaying Hinchcliffe, and it's more about being like, oh, yeah, I don't really have a idea about it. I don't have anything to talk about, blah blah blah. Like, you know, um, it's not really taking the high road, not at all. Um, and a tasteless joke is not really a tasteless joke, not at all. It's just really stupid. That should have just been like, all right, cool, whatever, haha. Let's go on to the next. Um, but yeah, sometimes articles tend to want to do the whole rage baiting for like no reason. The only reason why I wanted to bring it up is because I really thought the answer that uh Biggie gave was trying to search for the right thing to say, you know, other than trying to lean into it a little bit to take, the edge off of it. Cause it's just one of those things of like, it was just making a stupid analogy. It was a bigger picture kind of, joke. Um, you know, Biggie is still here. That's the important part. That really is that really is the important part. And in this article, they included other kind of tweets from people, and it's like, again, if this person is not, you don't like the comedy, you don't like the comedy. Um, Other than that, yeah. So again, like, I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was really weird the way that Biggie gave his response. It just sounded like defeat. It sounded like, he gave up, rather than like trying to be like, oh, I see, ha ha ha. But then again, this is not me trying to be like, oh, this is what Biggie should have said. These are just ideas of stuff that he could have done, so that way it could just take off this edge that people seem way too comfortable to come to the defense or being a knight for somebody else before that person has a chance to say something or rebuttal someone who is a comedian. um you know uh and yeah, so I just thought that it was one of those things that the answer was weird, because again, it's like pushing away when there's nothing to push away. Should have been like, oh, there goes another comedian trying to get famous off of my name. That could have been like a clapback. That could have been it. But it's really, you know it's really one of those things. um but yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because I just feel like, um, ever since Biggie took the position to talk about wrestling on the panel, it's more about like, he's just going through the motions, and it's like maybe Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were, real and true about what they said. And you can definitely see it. If this is one whole big work until maybe one day Biggie gets back into the ring and does something against New Day, so that way there could be like some type of retribution for like the heel personas of Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, then I'll be on board. But other than that, like, that joke, which was like, the article was written like 5 days ago. That joke wasn't even that bad. It really wasn't. Now let's get into the main conversation about wrestling news and topics, which is basically The Rock wearing a New Japan logo lion shirt. However, this one is in black and white. And it's like the baseball tee because it comes up to like his biceps. And he's looking at a Rubik's Cube, and he posted a video about it first. And this was on the day that New Japan Pro Wrestling was having um, Windy City Riot in Chicago, which was on the 11th, and it basically like blew up the internet. It should be Windy City Riot. I don't know why I get Windy City Riot and Resurgence confused. I don't know why. I should know that like every April it's Windy City Riot, and then like resurgence, it's like in May in LA. Like I don't know why I get those two confused. Um, so he posts that, and I see it, and of course I am going to tweet it out. And this is what I did. I'm going to give you guys some behind the scenes here. So this is my tweet, right? Where I said, "Dear at the Rock," which by the way, I did send out another signal to the Rock and be like, "Hey, you could join this live stream on marieshadows.substack.com." Obviously no word, nothing like that. So it is Dear the Rock, NJPW needs saving. Yes, it does. You could go argue in the comments. Plus, need New Japan Strong back, those weekly shows. As I said before, if you have been following me since like day one all the way till now, I say that NJPW Strong, those weekly shows need to be back because they were helping the American audience get familiar with not only the American wrestlers but also the Japanese wrestlers. And they would have a sold out show every single time the pay per views come around. But because stuff fell through, and the management that was holding together the NJPW Strong weekly shows and got disbanded, and those the ones in management, one of them, the referee, is over at WWE right now. So like it fell through, and we no longer have New Japan Strong weekly shows. Now we just have New Japan Strong pay-per-views, and they are the weakest builds that New Japan has. New Japan does a very decent way of building up their pay-per-views for people to be excited for it. However, because they are in partnership with AEW, it's becoming AEW like, where the build-ups doesn't make any sense. I have always been tagging Tanahashi, the ace, the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and tagging Gato because we know that Gato is the booker. And I want Gato and I to be friends because we have a similar thought pattern, and I didn't think that was possible. To form a partnership with WWE and Triple H and The Rock. AEW is tanking them. Yes, they are. If you're gonna tell me different, you're gonna have to bring some really good evidence that this is not happening, but it is. And I'll give you a little bit of an insight. If you have been living under a rock, Tony Khan has bought out the top stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling without allowing New Japan Pro Wrestling to breathe and to appropriately move everybody else in those positions that basically needed to be filled. But New Japan Pro Wrestling and Japan itself moves so slow that right now they are struggling. They're doing okay. They're not doing decent. They are doing okay. So, and I also said book Tana versus Cena. So Tanahashi is retiring. He's going to retire next year. And John Cena is going to be retiring as well. So why not just have both of them? It's going to be box office greatness, over in the Tokyo Dome. It's probably going to get like 1 million stars. It's going to sell out the Tokyo Dome. We could do something for WrestleMania. Yeah, Tanahashi and John Cena, definitely book it, especially with John Cena being a heel. And I did say we'll so for Ambassador Row. I'm not kidding about that. Hey, Rock, hit me up. Just know that we will not talk about a Waffle House order, but I will talk about how, I can help you save New Japan Pro Wrestling and all of the ideas I have. Because I've been really consistent about what NJPW needs to do to get better at what they're giving us, the US fans, and also the Japanese fans, and everyone else like that. And there goes my name, and there goes my email. You have it. So this blew up yesterday, meaning that it went viral. Currently, right now, is at 150 likes, like 17 reposts and stuff like that. It's been very, very active. People have been telling me this or that on it. And I'm going to take a quick break. So give me a second. Okay. So thank you guys for being patient. But yeah, so this tweet right here, like, really made me go viral. You know, all on the 11th, and then like over the couple of days. And like I said, like I started off this live stream right here on marieshadows.substack.com, is that I wanted to take a break from content creation, from wrestling content creation. But that can't happen, because when you say I want to take a break, they pull you right back in. But see, people were coming into my tweets. I thought it was going to get a little bit of rowdiness, and not really. There's a couple of things we got to talk about, right? Because there's this school of thought that is still there, where people think that by WWE acquiring, again, no one is using these words. No one is using words like acquiring or buying or purchasing. Like, I just want a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling and show New Japan Pro Wrestling, what's it like to be on that big stage, even though they have the biggest stage in the world, meaning like the Tokyo Dome. And again, I'm probably like in the very, very, very small niche of like really defending New Japan Pro Wrestling and really talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. And people are going to be like, New Japan is not as big as like WWE or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't know. But if we talk about like WrestleMania, that's like the biggest event. If we talk about Tokyo Dome, that's New Japan's biggest event. New Japan gives a different type of wrestling atmosphere, a pro wrestling atmosphere, a different type of pro wrestling atmosphere that adds to the pro wrestling ecosystem that I always talk about, that I always advocate, and that I fucking love. So, I'm going to take my opportunities, I'm going to make my shots, and I'm going to be talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling and how they need to be saved and why they need to be saved. And The Rock is the one person to do it, because The Rock is very calculated. Even though there's a section of people online that think that The Rock is very not calculated, but he is. He's calculated in his own way, where he sees things different, he approaches things different, and if he gets pushback, he adjusts to the pushback. But it's a coincidence, a very, very interesting coincidence. And I can speak to this because I worked at WWE in 2018 and for the WWE network, and sometimes being in a room where like they're talking about something and you're like, am I supposed to be here? But they don't kick you out. And this is during like your lunchtime. So like, stories and shit like that, stuff I heard behind the scenes and whatnot. So like, yeah, I can definitely speak to like some stuff and like confirm some stuff that like WWE does pay attention to New Japan Pro Wrestling. WWE does enjoy New Japan Pro Wrestling. They like that stuff. Triple H is a big supporter of Japanese wrestling in general. It's just that Triple H doesn't go around like Tony Khan to be like, I love the 90s guys. Like, the 90s wrestlers are the best wrestlers, but you're having them fucking lose on your show. Ishii, case in point. Having him lose on your damn show all the damn time. Um, but Triple H is a fan of Japanese wrestling. There's a reason why he likes the Bullet Club. There's a reason why he likes Pro Wrestling Noah and how they got that partnership. And that's all I want. I just want a partnership. I'm not even asking for like anything else. I just want a partnership so that way the Japanese guys can be on a big stage and people can get to know them, love them, and Japan can learn a couple things or two about them. The same way that like the WWE sent over wrestlers over to Pro Wrestling Noah, and then we have one Pro Wrestling Noah wrestler over here in WWE on excursion. I apologize if I can't pronounce his name right now because I don't want to fuck it up. So you guys know who he is. He's with Josh Briggs. Again, just no disrespect if I don't say his name, is because I don't want to fuck it up because it's not in front of my face for me to like say his name. It's just a respect thing. But I'm probably jumping around all over the place. So let's wind it back a little bit. Let's wind it back and have this conversation. Excuse me. Right now, online, there are two sections of fans. I'm not even counting the other podcasters that, want to say they talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, but they don't talk about it like me. They don't defend it like me, and they don't really stay consistent like I do about talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I will stand my ground on that forever. So, there are two kinds of fans online on Twitter, where people who are like me who want the partnership will be like, yeah, we want the partnership, and there'll be a great unison of like, yes, we want it, because we can now fantasy book, and then we know that the way that WWE books is going to be very beneficial for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that's all we ask for. Do we just ask for benefits? We're not asking for like anything else that can, wipe off New Japan Pro Wrestling, because why would we do that? That's so stupid. Every single wrestling promotion is essential to the wrestling ecosystem. Um, and I know someone's gonna be like, "Well, don't you want AEW to die?" No, I don't. I want them to get their head out of their ass, meaning AEW. I want them to get their head out of their ass and start making changes and improvement, and basically try to become a wrestling promotion that is made for television and not a wrestling promotion that is made for a monthly viewing of people at bingo halls. Okay? People may not like that comment, but I don't give a shit. So, basically, the other side of the aisle will tell you that, why do you want a monopoly in wrestling? WWE is going to destroy New Japan Pro Wrestling. I got told on that tweet that like WWE is afraid of New Japan. WWE went over to Japan and had a week long of sell-out shows. Japanese fans dressed up as their favorite WWE wrestler. What does that tell you? And also, Japan, uh, ABMA has the streaming rights to show WWE Raw, SmackDown, the pay-per-views on their wrestling network. What does that tell you? I have an article on marieshadows.substack.com talking about that, about the media rights, the digital broadcasting media rights that they gave to Japan to show WWE programming on one of their biggest networks that have other Japanese promotions on there. It just doesn't have New Japan Pro Wrestling. It has everything else but New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that tells you a lot. So for everybody out there that's saying that this is not a good idea, they don't know what they're talking about. These are the same people that'll be like, support the wrestler, and then it's also like, oh my god, they're going over to WWE. That's not right. They shouldn't go there. I don't like WWE. Therefore, that wrestler is trash now. When like 6 months ago, you're like, this wrestler is the best. So why would you take advice from people who don't want to be in the business but want to be in the business by way of the dirt sheets, and kind of like boost up their opinion about wrestling when they don't get it? Wrestling is about a big picture atmosphere. It's not about a small picture. It's not about like, oh, what this wrestler could do for this company kind of deal. It's, what can this brand do for another brand that will help out the wrestlers in the brand that is struggling? That's what it is. Yeah, so The Rock wearing that shirt and having the Rubik's Cube on the day of a New Japan Strong pay-per-view, Windy City Riot, is no coincidence. I think it's by design. And I might be happy-go-lucky here, but like, The Rock doesn't do things, doesn't make decisions that are stupid when it comes to the business of wrestling. Um, Other than that whole entire like, I don't know, the last WrestleMania build up where Cody Rhodes gave him the spot to be at like the main event. Like that was a cool ass ride and a cool ass story, but at the same time it's like, what are we doing here? Like, this is the first time ever. But when you enjoy the ride, and when you know that, like, when you study the business enough and you look at what's happening, and you know that this happens because of this, you kind of can see the writing on the wall. Like, I have been calling for the partnership of New Japan Pro Wrestling and WWE because it is the most beneficial partnership there is out there, whether you want to believe it or not. And if you're not going to believe it, that just means that you just want to be a troll. You just want to push back on it. Because if you're not willing to have an open conversation, an honest one, where it's more of a big picture rather than like a small picture, and be like, oh my God, let's nitpick this, let's nitpick that in the conversation, it's not going to help you gain a different perspective at all. Because now you're just focusing on, well, WWE in the past bought up all of these territories. And again, that conversation is under Vince McMahon. I'm not afraid to say his name. That conversation is under Vince McMahon. under Triple H and TKO and like Nick Khan and The Rock, they are moving the chess pieces to give other people exposure now on their platform or even affiliated and or adjacent to their biggest platform being WWE. And I think that's very, very beneficial. Um, they're definitely getting a good feedback on everything. But like the days of buying up the promotions was because of the money drying up in the biggest territories in the United States. So like Texas was drying up eventually, Mid South was drying up eventually. And when companies dry up, rather than them going completely out of business, obviously Vince McMahon saw that there was potential in getting the guys. There was potential in doing that. So he gave them another opportunity to work and giving them money on his in his company rather than just being like, yo, I'm just gonna poach this guy. He's gonna come, I'm gonna buy his contract out way before the promotion is done. It was waited till like close to the end where the promotions were like, I gotta sell it to Vince because there's nothing that he could do. There's no money coming in. So, rather than go out, be like, I'll take a bag and survive, and then you can have my guys and the IP and everything like that. That's business. We see it happen all the time. What is it? Like Disney ends up buying up a lot of media stuff. We have like one of the biggest media um networks currently where they buy up the other competition. It's the same way in the publishing business where we used to say that we have the big six publishing companies, but now we have the big five because one of the companies bought out another company and bam, it happens all the time. And you can't, you know, like really, really use that against WWE because essentially these guys would be out of a business. They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. Most wrestlers don't have a second hobby or even something to fall back on. All they know is professional wrestling. In current days, it's kind of different. It depends on who you talk to. But back then, really, 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 really back then, they had wrestling. That was their bread and butter. That was their life. That's how they made their money. So, like, what did you want them to do? Most wrestling fans online don't want to think about other people but themselves, and I will stand on this and I will say it again that they are selfish and that like it has to be about them, and they don't realize it. And then when you bring it up, they're gonna be like, oh my god, no, that's not true. And then calling me selfish because I'm hanging out with a bunch of high IQ guys on Twitter that know numbers, know about business, know how like things rise and fall and all that kind of stuff. And but yeah, I'm the selfish one to be hanging out with high IQ people, but I can't get a good conversation out of anyone else that's like AEW is doing amazing. No, they're not. They're not really doing as amazing as you think they are. Um, if you want to believe what other people say, then that's on you. You should have like an adult mind to think like for yourself and like for the individual that you should be. The other thing too that I saw that people were being parrots, and they will give me an article that says that Rocky Romero says that New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, and CMLL has some interesting things lined up, and they use that as a way to be like, oh, here's evidence of that. That's not gonna work. Of like The Rock forming a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, or they even think of like buying it. Like I don't know. Some fans are mad weird when they have their thought patterns. But giving me that article is not gonna make me think like you because I'm not gonna be a sheep and follow something that somebody says because anybody can say anything and it falls through. It happens all the time. This is why wrestling is subject to change. Even when people say, "Oh, we have some awesome things lined up in the chamber or in the pipeline for like content creation or stuff like that," and like sometimes it just doesn't come through, especially if people make deals with like networks, that all falls through. But no, but for some reason on online, those people that parrot stuff and be like, oh, you have to believe this because it's written in an article, therefore it is true, are really lost. Really, really lost. Like why are you believing something with your whole heart that like this is going to be true because you don't want something fun to happen in wrestling? Wrestling right now is at its hottest peak. Wrestling right now is really, really good. Whether you agree, disagree, or like you're in the middle, or you just don't see it because you don't want to see it. But wrestling is really hot right now. WWE is not trying to like buy anything. WWE is just trying to give people a platform, give TNA a platform, all of the crossovers. WWE has a really huge roster. So what are you going to do with the guys and girls that are sitting at home? You send them to TNA. You send them to Marigold. You send them to Pro Wrestling Noah. You send them to other places to go and get more exposure, more reps in, get a different style in, and that's that. But I am very, very proud of my tweets. I am very, very proud that all on the 11th, I was really pushing for The Rock to see what I've been tagging him in and see what I've been talking about. And by the way, I was going to be like, it's no coincidence, but I'm like, that's not how I want to start this sentence off. But I was going to say that, by the way, New Japan Pro Wrestling themselves, their Instagram took the screenshot because the thing that I showed you guys, the tweet, The Rock actually made a video of it. So, The Rock, after he made a video, put it online. Most people just shared a screenshot of it. But for New Japan Pro Wrestling to take that screenshot and put it up on their Instagram, guys, the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, do not be naive. There is something here. Whether you see it now or you see it later or it never comes true or maybe it does come true, that's why the wrestling business is really like the most carny business there is. And they say never say never. So I don't think that it was a coincidence either that New Japan Pro Wrestling just wanted to put it up on their IG. And The Rock gave New Japan Pro Wrestling a lot of marketing, way more than AEW has ever given New Japan Pro Wrestling. And let's address that. So, somebody online told me that AEW promotes the wrestlers, and they do crossovers. And it's like, most of the New Japan guys that go over to AEW for the past years get a code open. They don't really get a promo package about who they are. They wrestle, they take the money and they go home. And they come back and do it again. And whenever an AEW star is promoted on New Japan, similar code opening, fans may not like him. When Kenny returned, he got a pop because it's Kenny Omega. But when the Young Bucks were like, "Yeah, we're coming back in," I'm like, no pop. Wrestle Dynasty was one of those measurements where it's like no pop for the AEW stars, more pops for the New Japan stars. So again, the partnership with AEW is not helping New Japan Pro Wrestling at all. So for anyone in my mentions over at Maria_Shadows, stop it. You got to be true to yourselves. You got to be true to what you're seeing, because again, I will say this over and over and over and over again, that we are seeing this in real time. We are seeing this in real time. And if you can't accept that reality, then, there's no point to basically chat with me on Twitter, because you only want to see your reality in this, which is really bad. Like wrestling fans, I guess new age wrestling fans only want to see their own reality in professional wrestling and not professional wrestling in the reality of the world and the ecosystem of professional wrestling and how that's supposed to thrive. There is something else that I do want to talk about. I did not take a screenshot to show you guys, but this next part is more about my gut feeling than anything else. While yes, I do work in the wrestling business and I do have contacts and I could talk to people and I could probably get some information, what I'm about to say next is basically just a gut feeling. That's all it is. And if I were to ever interview these two individuals, that is all it's going to be, because there's nothing else. Windy City Riot happened on April 11th in Chicago. We have a new New Japan Strong openweight champion in Ishii. I don't care. I don't care, because Ishii has really damaged his legacy and damaged his Stone Pitbull persona, and then to take the belt off of Gabe Kidd, even though Gabe Kidd really hasn't defended that belt, but he's shown the belt off, in New Japan itself, which I'm like, okay, cool, but who's gonna challenge you for it? Like one of the guys there should have challenged you for it. Like hell, Ren Narita should have challenged him for it. So, um, since Gabriel Kidd is no longer champion, that tells me that eventually he's gonna go to AEW. I don't see him going to WWE at this point in time. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess just because of like the way he built his character, the way he built his story and his journey and what we could follow, and him being the madman and him saying, F AEW and like, this and that and talk bad about it, and then had the match with Kenny Omega and then showed up at AEW. I was like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing that? Like, I need some believability as if it was like the 80s into the 90s of like, if you really did hate a promotion, like stay that you hated the promotion rather than being like, oh, you beat oh, see, my brain wanted Gabriel Kidd to beat Kenny Omega because I did a whole thing about it. But Gabe Kidd did not beat Kenny Omega, but he got the free ride to go to AEW, and I was like, why are we here? Why are we here after that? Like, there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say there's no like conviction in certain things, like stay true to who you are. But anyway, yeah, so that's where I see it. And then because Ishii won the title, um, I see Gabe Kidd going over to AEW, and because during the last event, Sakura Genesis, and we talked about how David Finlay lost to Goto, and then because Bullet Club War Dogs is in a feud with House of Torture right now. Um, Basically, they're going to be doing a dog pound cage match, which is a scary ass cage match. I have not watched the first one since it happened, and that was to get Osprey out, and Osprey went over to AEW, and that was his send off. But online, I had said, and I had used the Lord of the Rings metaphor of the line that goes, one does not simply walk into Mordor, and I use that for one does not simply agreed to have a dog pound cage match just because one of their soldiers said that it's blood for blood now, boss. We got to do this cage match and we got to do it soon. One does not simply just agree to have a dog pound cage match and live to tell the tale about it. The first one ended a career and could have had someone die. That was how brutal that one is because New Japan Pro Wrestling and Japan itself really does not do hardcore wrestling matches. They do not do any kind of cage matches. So that cage match was the first in New Japan history. So to do it again, one person does not just wake up and be like, we're going to do a dog pound cage match. Doesn't happen. So because that was accepted, I was like, I have a feeling that David Finlay is going to go to WWE. His brother and his father is there. Um, who knows if I'll be right? Who knows if I'll be wrong? But those are my gut feelings, and that is from like no insider information at all. But those are just gut feelings because of how everything is falling into place. So like sometimes when a wrestler keeps losing in New Japan, something is up, frustration is there, and then like eventually they leave to go somewhere else. And I do want to bring up another, not really a topic, but another thing too to talk about again is that Tanahashi and Kadani both did their interviews a while ago, and I talked about it. I have it in one of my videos. And Tanahashi was surprised at the way that WWE can create stars and wrestlers at such a fast pace. And he is somewhat jealous of that. And he wants to replicate that. But he has not been replicating it. And he's the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. What he is currently doing is allowing AEW stars to come into New Japan Pro Wrestling and act like it's their house too. And it's like, no, it's not their house anymore. Case in point, during that same pay-per-view, the Young Bucks We're talking about the Young Bucks right now. I don't care if they block me. I really don't care at this point. I feel like the Young Bucks have checked out. I feel like the Young Bucks has forgotten their baby and their passion project, aka All Elite Wrestling. Ever since Cody Rhodes left, it has been all downhill for them because the dominoes effect are really, really there. And I think something broke. But either way, um, the Young Bucks issued a challenge to Bullet Club War Dogs to have like a tag match at Resurgence in LA because you know that's home base. So you're telling me that in order for the Young Bucks to stay relevant, rather than fixing home base, which is all elite wrestling, and getting back to a good standing with the AEW community, especially the ones that left um, to for other places, meaning the fans. So you're telling me in order to stay relevant that you're going to fight the most over tag team there is in New Japan Pro Wrestling, being Bullet Club War Dogs, in your hometown in LA for Resurgence, and you guys are gonna go over, right? Because I know they're gonna go over just because they're hometown boys, just because they're from LA, they're gonna go over, and it's like, no, stop trying to be relevant at the expense of other wrestlers that are over. And Bullet Club War Dogs got over organically, and it's like we don't need this. Why are you trying to come back into New Japan Pro Wrestling when AEW is, I want to say, sinking? AEW is having a really bad reaction over on Twitter, and it's like, hey, we challenge Bullet Club War Dogs. Can you guys be VPs and like go fix home base? And then also, just to bring in Kenny Omega into this, look like a wrestler. You come out in shorts and a sweater, and it looks like you're done too, and you've given up, and you have to be there for obligation's sake. And it's like that's not the Kenny Omega that I know. Even though I know that Kenny Omega can turn on Kenny Omega, please get your mind out of the gutter. Because I just realized how that came out. But either way, you know what I mean. Like Kenny Omega can switch on that character of Kenny Omega anytime that he wants to. But it's like, dude, go out there and look like a wrestler and have some words and some issues with the Young Bucks rather than being like in shorts and a sweater. That tells me like laziness and you checked out. You checked out a long time ago. If it was up to me after like your first big surgeries, when the TNA and AEW partnership happened, I would have been like, bro, you have nothing left to prove. Like you really don't need to prove anything at all. The same way that like after his intestine battle, he has nothing to prove. Kenny Omega has nothing to prove. He did it all, except for like having a really good long career in like WWE. But he did it all. He became the face of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He stayed in Japan for 10 years, going from DDT Pro to New Japan Pro Wrestling and doing the indies and stuff like that. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I never got to see Kenny Omega live. If anybody ever wanted to know, I never got to see him live. But yeah, like stuff like that. What else is happening in the world of wrestling that I want to quickly talk about? Because I hit everything that I wanted to do. So if you're just joining right now in like wherever this live stream is at, meaning like the time, um, I talked about Nickelback, how I've been getting back into Nickelback. I talked about Biggie's response to the comedian, and broke down the joke because I think sometimes people need the breakdown of a joke. We went right into The Rock with the New Japan shirt, and hopefully I can have an audience with The Rock. Who knows? But hopefully I can. Like I said, we're not going to be talking about a Waffle House order, but we'll talk about business because I'm all about business for the wrestling business, to improve the wrestling business and to improve the lives of professional wrestlers, with me breaking down professional wrestling matches and all of that. And then we got into a little bit more of New Japan Pro Wrestling and the Young Bucks and how they want to feel relevant, and Kenny Omega and the War Dogs, and my gut feeling of who's going to go where after we have the Dog Pound cage match, which is going to be featuring Bullet Club War Dogs versus House of Torture, that whole big thing. I still have not seen the videos of explaining Bullet Club War Dogs and House of Torture and like their connection and all that kind of stuff. I've touched on it a lot of times in my back catalog of New Japan Pro Wrestling, but just know that I have been very, very consistent in me talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling, analyzing New Japan Pro Wrestling, watching New Japan Pro Wrestling with you guys live, and also being very consistent in tagging Tanahashi and tagging Gato and tagging Kadani to let them know that this fan right here, Marie Shadows, cares so much about New Japan Pro Wrestling that no person on Twitter, whether they're real or they're a bot, is going to deter me. Only New Japan themselves is going to deter me with some bullshit. But nobody can control what I want to do when I want to put out there and the kind of atmosphere that I want to attract, the kind of opportunities I want to make for myself. But I truly, duly, that's a new one. When you're so fucking passionate, your brain is like going at 100 miles an hour right now. But I truly do care about New Japan Pro Wrestling. I do care about the wrestling space. I do care about giving people a platform to show off their wrestlers, to show off their stories, to collaborate with people, to even sell myself for the ambassador road to The Rock. If he were to ever form a partnership with WWE with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think I'm gonna wrap up because I might just end up being hungry, so I might need some food. But other than that, I just wanted to come on here and make a quick little content video about the stuff in wrestling. There's probably a lot more stuff that I didn't touch, but I'm being very picky by design to talk about certain things on this live stream. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys ever want to talk wrestling with me, shoot me a DM either on marieshadows.substack.com or even on Twitter at marie_shadows or like anywhere else you can find me. I'm not hard to find. I'm really not. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this live. If you have any comments, of course, leave them down in the comments below. I will read everybody's comments. I will respond to everybody. Um, make it worthwhile. You know, just make it worthwhile. The conversation. Have some truth in the conversation. Have some facts and some stuff in the conversation. But yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I just wanted to talk about that stuff. I know after I end this, it's gonna be like, um, I forgot this, I forgot that, but it's totally okay. Um, so just as a quick reminder, youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast, this whole entire live will be up on there as well, and also the shorts to follow. Um, the replay, marieshadows.substack.com. Over on YouTube, we have memberships that are live. Grab yourself a membership. And then whenever I go live, send in a super chat if you want to. It's totally fine. This all helps keep the brand afloat and stuff like that. And it just helps out the brand. I really do enjoy talking about wrestling with you guys and giving some knowledge here and there. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll answer them in the next live. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed like all of this stuff together. Those are like the two main things that I want to talk about. Um, I didn't. Yeah, I think that's about it. I would like to say everyone enjoy your Sunday. And I will see you all on the next one. I'm trying to like hold it and say bye. That's what I'm trying to do.